Hello everyone, welcome back to Linsight 201. Today we are going to talk about phonotactics and syllable, two concepts. But actually, phonotactics will be really informative when we have the concept of syllable. So let's talk about these two things together. First, phonotactics. Phonotactics are language-specific rules for combining consonants and vowels with each other to form meaningful or grammatical elements such as words. So it's a knowledge about how to put sounds together, and it's language specific. So it means that English will have its own phonological rules, and French and Italian and Mandarin and other language will have its own phonotactics rules. So we have to ask, are these possible English words? We have to specify the language, English words. So we have two sounds here, spent and impulse. As you can see, we can pronounce these two sound combinations. Okay. However, are they possible English words? The answer is no. They are not possible English words. And we use star. If you are an English speaker, native English speaker, I think you have the intuition. When someone says spent, you feel something strange. This is not a possible English word. And same apply for impulse. Okay. So let's try to formalize some rules to rule out these two sound combinations. Okay. The first attempt is to say that English the mental rules in a native English speaker does not allow adjacent sp combination and mp combination. Okay, this is the first attempt. And we are going to revise this rule because if we simply have this rule, there are some counterexamples. For example, we can say this word, he has Bob. So we have sp combination here, adjacent sp sequence. And also we can have I am pleased with adjacent imp, right? So this is not a right rule. Or we can say, look, we have different words. This sound belongs to the previous one, and this sound belongs to the following one. So maybe word boundary matters. So English does not allow adjacent sp and imp within the same word. Now I include the word boundary concept. However, this is still not right because we have the following counterexamples. We have husband, sp, right? And we have compose, imp, still. So this rule cannot rule out these two counterexamples. Let's try a third one. This is the final version. So English does not allow adjacent sp sequence and p sequence within the same syllable. So we have to use the concept of syllable. We have to introduce the idea of syllable so that we can really describe why these two things are bad and these two things are okay in English. Okay, so we use dot to indicate syllable boundary. So husband actually has two syllables, hus and bund. So sp are in different syllables. So they are good. And here compose with com and p in two different syllables. So they are in two different syllables. So they are okay from this rule. And on the other hand, this is one single syllable and sp is in the same syllable. This shows the same point, so they are ungrammatical. We use star to indicate ungrammatical string or sounds. Okay. So in order to understand phonotactics, we need to talk about syllables. Then let's talk about syllables. Let's talk about syllable in a very informal way first. Let's count syllables.
A syllable is a word part. All words are made up of syllables. Knowing that words are broken down into syllables will help you read and write. Let's look at a few ways to find syllables in words. Let's try the syllable clap. Clap with me as I say these words. Cat, sunset, radio, book, teacher, tractor. Let's try another way to find syllables. It's called robot speak. Let's say these words like the robot. Cat, sunset, tractor. Do you hear how we're chopping the words into pieces? Radio, book, teacher. Each new piece is another syllable. Let's say these words together again, but first put your hand below your chin like this. Pay attention to when your mouth opens and closes. Cat, sunset, tractor. Did you notice that your mouth opens whenever you say a vowel? Each time your mouth opens, you've said another syllable. Radio, that's 3 syllables. Book, that's just 1 syllable. Teacher, that's 2 syllables. We never want you to just guess where to clap or how many syllables you hear. There are patterns that you can follow.
Okay, you can finish the rest of the video by yourself. And now let's have a little bit more formal definition. So what is a syllable? A syllable is made up of a vowel with optional initial and final consonants. So what is important for syllable is to have a vowel. So we need to track vowels. Okay, and features of vowel are louder and produced with large amount of airstream. So in other words, if we find the louder sounds or a larger amount of airstream, then we can find vowels and then syllables. Okay, so in the video, there are 3 ways of counting syllables. The first 2 ways, syllable clap and robot speak, use the loudness to find syllable. And the last method is to detect airstream, because when we try to produce a vowel, a lot of airstream will come out from your mouth, and then you have to open your mouth, right? And so let's try together. How many syllables are there in Neil Armstrong? So I have to open my mouth 3 times. 3 syllables. Okay. So let's talk about the structure of syllable now. So peak is the vowel of the syllable. And then the peak with the following consonant, the consonants following the peak is called coda. Okay, coda. And then the consonants preceding the peak vowel is called onset. So within a syllable, we can have 3 different elements: onset, peak, and coda. Peak is a vowel, and onset is the preceding consonant, and coda is the following consonants. And peak and rhyme, peak and coda, these 2 things form another unit, another natural unit, which is called a rhyme. Okay, so a syllable is composed of 2 things, onset and rhyme is decomposed into 2 things, peak and coda. Okay, this structure is very important. So we can represent the structure in this tree notation, or we can use bracket notation. So we group these two guys together, peak and coda, and rhyme indicate the unit of this bracket. Rhyme, okay, and then onset is the same thing but just notational difference. Okay. And then, so another example, if we have sprouts, owl is the peak, tz is coda, and spur is the onset. And peak and coda form rhyme. Okay. And then I'm going to motivate why there are such units called a rhyme. So let's think about this tree structure again. Actually, we have three kinds of elements. Okay, onset, peak, coda. Why do we want to group peak and coda together? Alternatively, we can group onset and peak together, right? Or just have a trinary tree structure. We have three branches. Everything is equal. Why do we want to group peak and coda together? There's a reason behind this. Okay, so in poetry and songs, treat peak and coda as a unit instead of onset and peak. So poetry and song are good evidence showing our intuition about the language. Okay, so we treat peak and coda as a single unit. And we do not see any poetry or any song which use onset and peak as a single unit. Okay, and there are some language games treat peak and coda as unique. For example, peak Latin. So peak Latin is that we remove the second part of the word and we move it to the initial position of the word. Okay, so I'm using part as a very vague word, but here part turns out to be rhyme. Okay, peak would be ikpei. So sorry, you add a at the end of the word. So ik is moved to the initial position, and then we've got ikpei. And then we have trash, ashtray. So you see we move the whole coda to the initial position, ashtray. And then we have glove, love gay. Glove. Sorry, I'm making this wrong. Awfully. I'm not so good at speaking Pig Latin, but if you can speak it, you can get the intuition. Actually, what we do is to move all the rhyme to the initial position. Okay. Okay, let's move back to phonotactics. So again, phonotactics rules are language specific. For example, we have this German word Knei, and then we have this Italian word spot, and this French word vrille. All of them are not possible English words because English just does not like this combination within the same syllable and this combination within the same syllable. However, in other language, they are perfectly grammatical. So again, phonotactics rules are language specific. Okay. So let's take a look at the phonotactics of English again. We have this word strength. So in English, we can have maximally up to 3 onsets and up to 4 codas as shown in this word. A is the peak, and then we have all the 4 segments as the onset, and we have the as the onsets. Okay, so let's think about what are the phonotactics of syllables in other languages. Okay, I want to talk about this word, McDonald's. So before that, let's talk about loanwords. So loanwords is a word borrowed from a donor language and incorporated into the recipient language system. And when the process is done, when I borrow a word from another language, I modify the original word and modify it so that it can obey the phonetic rule of the recipient language. So if we look at the loanwords closely, we can know the phonetics of the native language. So I'm going to talk about McDonald's because it's a very popular loanword in different language speaking community. So in Mandarin, we have McDonald's. We have the Mandarin version of McDonald's, and we have the Japanese version of McDonald's. Let's take a look at this video. Let's try to say McDonald's in Japanese. Let's try to hear it again. It's here. In Japanese, you say Makuto Naruto, right? So we tell about something about the phonetics of Japanese. So in English, we have McDonald's. But however, in English, we have in Japanese, we have Makuto Naruto. So in English, we can have 3 onsets and we can have 4 codas. So this is perfectly fine. However, Japanese can only have 1 onset and 1 nasal coda maximally. So when we have more than 1 onset, or when we have more than 1 codas, we have to do some modification. For example, in Japanese, k is not a legal coda, so the modification strategy is to add another vowel, so it becomes an independent syllable, and then everything is fine. And here we have a consonant cluster. We have 3 consonants in a row. So we can add vowels, so it becomes an independent syllable. Add another vowel, so it becomes an independent syllable. And for this sound, Japanese just simply delete the final consonant. Okay, so by studying the loanwords, we can study the phonetics of the language as well. And that's it for today, and remember to do the in-class exercise. See you next time.